All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Another day of baseball here at SHIPIT Nation. Excited to talk about this 9-game slate we got in front of us here on Wednesday, hump day. Who doesn't like a good hump day? I mean, we got the porn stash man. I got to look the other way next to me there. I know seems to be getting some love there in the chat and yesterday, so rightfully so. I used to have one long time ago, too, with my gold rope chain and all that, and then, just kind of didn't work out anymore for me. I had to give it up a little bit there. But, hey, you're 30, BJ. You can get away with that shit. I'm 52. This don't work anymore. I got daughters that give me shit, tease me, tell me I shouldn't wear this or shouldn't do that, but I still do it anyway. It's good times, BJ. You got to mess with them. I was a dad who pulled up in the minivan blaring Britney Spears to pick up my kid. I'd leave my charger at home and pick him up in the minivan. That's how it worked. But either way, BJ, we were on a couple of the spots yesterday talking about, a couple things here and there about, the freaking path to, being a chalky pitcher and then 11-0 the Giants, like you mentioned here or pre-show there, Coors Field, the last few innings kind of did us in. But, man, the big one of the night had to be the triple play the Padres pulled off. Your Padres there, as we were kind of talking before, like you got to set the stage. You got bases loaded, Ohtani on deck, playoff type atmosphere, and fucking rips one down the line. Machado rips it around the horn, triple play, game over. Man, that was, as a baseball fan, you just don't see triple plays, for one, that often, and two, you just don't see one to end a game like that. That was some pretty cool shit. But, my Tigers won, Twins lost. Ober got his ass kicked, so I have to burned me a little bit on some of my lineups, but still overall fun night. Always fun to watch baseball. But how's it going, BJ? How was your night last night?
Oh, man, it was great. Like you said, Padres, fun little triple play, 2 guys on, Ohtani on deck, turning around. So we got a big win there. DFS, like you said, we were talking, we were close on some stuff. Giants kind of fading course the last couple of innings. Yankees didn't get there yesterday. I don't remember what inning it was, but we had like 2 straight walks and 9 pitches. And then here comes Mr. Verdugo, just a nice double play to kind of kill everything before the top. But hey, man, like you said, you just kind of got to be close until you kind of put together all the pieces, which might be tough for today. Looking into the slate, it's a little bit different than what we're used to. So I'm excited to kind of get through this and keep enjoying some of this high atmosphere baseball. I know we got a lot of sports going on, but there's nothing like turning on, we're only a week away, but even some of these games, just the atmosphere, like what you were saying is what makes it fun, because we get stuck with so many dog days, right? Through July and August, where none of these games matter. And you have short stops, at the casino till 8 a.m. But, I feel so bad for that. There's 2 things I want to talk about really quick. Tells getting sent down for the Pirates, 4 ABs before the bonus, which is unreal.
That's cheesy. And then that just means they won't get any free agents. If I'm a free agent, why the hell would you want to go there and sign any kind of incentives? I'd be like, I'd pull out the ad and article and be like, what the fuck, dude? You fucked this guy. Why would I even sign with you? Kiss my ass. That's cheesy though. That's totally cheesy.
Unreal. And he hasn't played really terrible this season. I've played a little bit of him, but really sad to see. And then I think anyways for the Nationals, I think they were going to kind of shelf Abrams anyways, but nothing like good old degenerate at the casino till 8 a.m. That's a different level kind of thing right there. 8 a.m. game at 1. Feel bad for him, right? But wasn't like he was out doing
a no-hitter drunk.
Yeah.
I think any of us have played a sport long enough. We've all kind of been in that, maybe we're a little buzzed up from being hungover or whatever. And Shit, I bowl every time, play golf. I'm usually pretty shit-faced, having fun. But, I mean, hey, whatever. But, yeah, that is kind of bullshit. I mean, one of his team – if I was his teammate, I mean, that's where you got to please yourselves between your teammates, especially a young kid like that. But they're full of young kids. But either way, say hi real quick to some of our peeps in the chat. We got Go Collect in the house, Pojen Stoner, Lucky, Lusano, Mike, Peterson, Ben, Jizzy, EB, saying 52, you look great. It's all them safety meetings I had. But I get it from my mom's side. She looks still, she's 80 and looks like she's 60. So hopefully that continues the trend for me. I'm just happy I got all my hair, man. Like I got a lot of friends now that can't say so much. They take their hat off and you're like, whoa, what the hell happened? You're bald? Like, bro, I forgot. I haven't seen you without a hat in a while. I was like, holy shit. But
you see that a lot at the golf course down here. It's like, hey man, nice to meet you, blah blah. Then we get into the clubhouse and you're like, bro, you're like 30. Where's your hair, dude? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it starts happening as you get older. But like you meet people, the rando people you see, and then you haven't seen somebody like example. I was in Arizona last week for the Lions game, right? And I get out, fucking get on some bus. There's literally a dude sitting next to me. I look over at him, I'm like, is your name Al? He's like, yeah. And he looks at me, he's like, Gyiraszin? I'm like, yeah. It was a dude I went to elementary school with. I haven't seen in 30, 40 years probably. And like we remembered each other, but we took a picture with each other. My wife's like, dude, he looks 20 years older than you. I mean, I know he's a partier and all. I mean, I party too, but I mean, yeah, he looked quite older than I did, but made me feel a little better, I guess. Wife giving me a little compliment like that. But still, I mean, I have a lot of fun. I try to act like a kid. I don't like to act like my age because then you get old and decrepit and fuck that. I don't want to be no fuddy-duddy. I like to have fun, man. That's just the way it is. So, but yeah, we got 9 games on this slate here. We were talking a little pre-show. Man, this one's slate here is just kind of a goofy slate. As we talked yesterday, we're getting into that time of year, last week, so things can happen. Things can get silly, pinch hits and, all kinds of that stuff like that. So something to be aware of. But looks like we may have a little weather issue with the best pitcher on the slate. Well, most expensive pitcher on the slate with Chris Sale out there in Atlanta. Looks like that one looks like it's not looking good. So, don't know if that one's going to, get in the mix today or not. It's not looking good. But, I mean, we got a handful of pitchers here just, kind of looking at them. You're thinking, oh, man, do I really want to, you look at Flaherty and Cease. We know that's going to be a playoff game. Definitely kind of atmosphere out there. Flaherty hasn't been Flaherty as we saw earlier in the year. Cease has kind of been a little bit better here in recent times. We did see him struggle there for a little while. Both these guys strikeout percentage have dropped here in recent times too. And then you look at, somebody like Zach Gallen, who I'm starting to lean is probably my SP1 against the Giants, who do strike out quite a bit against righties. So, you're sitting there looking at that, and then, you want to go Gossman against the Red Sox, 20%, 21% strikeout rate. I'm not sure. How about maybe Bradford against the A's? It's, I don't know. So it's like, we don't have the greatest of options here. Kind of like yesterday, we had a handful of guys that we feel comfortable with. But today, it's just, I think Gallen could be pretty popular, especially without Sale today. So, who do we want to pivot to? Do we want to go to a Bradford, somebody like that? But I think Gallen's the man here tonight, both sites, actually. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to be looking for some pivots, but I just might eat the Gallen, and that's it. Drink the Gallen and call it a day.
I love it. No, I would agree. It's so weird. We've been lucky the last couple of shows that we've done where it's just we have all these options, and now you have to make the decision on a stud pitcher at 5% in a tough matchup. It's completely different. I'm crossing Sale off. I'll let you talk about the drop in velocity that you brought up pre-show, but we have weather concerns there. I don't think it's going to play. And then our boy EB here, throwing out, he's not far from the stadium. It's storming, obviously some time till game time, but it's just kind of all adding up that, I'm not even going to touch that game. Like you said, playoff atmosphere. Can't wait. I don't mind some Cease. He looked like, last week on the Wednesday show, we talked about him before his matchup with Houston, and I was off of him. I said he might not be the same, kind of want to see it again. and he goes out and throws an 8-inning gem versus the Astros. So he's had back-to-back great starts after a couple of tough ones in a row since that no-hitter. So I don't mind him. I mean, he is going to garner, I think with the options, everybody's going to garner a little ownership, especially with Sale out of the mix. I agree. Let's get after Gallen. Complete opposite is yesterday. You know, when two things I want to talk about yesterday's slate with was I open it up and I see Paft at 25 and I see Bowden Francis at like 22%. And I'm thinking, dang, man, I didn't get to enough giant stacks like we talked about, but I'm kind of thinking, all right, time to go make some money, a quarter of the field there, quarter of the field here. And wasn't enough, but I won't be touching Gausman today versus the Red Sox, especially that he's popular. Not enough upside. I think he's going to get around the same ownership as Bowden Francis yesterday at that 23 to 26 range. I can't do it. A couple of bats that really scare me. I know they got some bats that strike out, but I don't get it. I don't get 20% of I think the field let's call it 1,000-person field. 250 of those guys are going to be playing, Gausman here. So I'm off that, and I don't mind Bradford. So it becomes really tough as we break it down. There's not that many. I'm going to take a peek to make sure. Peterson's in that 8K range, and we'll throw him out with the weather as well. And I don't want to touch Eflin versus the Yankees. So when you look above that 8K range on DraftKings, if you cross off Sale and cross off that game, so you cross off Peterson and Sale, then it becomes, wow, we're attacking either the low strikeout Padres, the upside of the Dodgers, or the Ace, right? It's kind of a tough spot. I'm not even going to say Stroman's name. I have no idea how he's priced at 9,100 here. I know he kind of had the surprise start with Nestor Cortez going to the hitting the bench. I think it's 15 days with the elbow, but I don't know. I'm kind of stuck here. I mean, I don't want to say Cease is going to fall into my number 3 pitcher after Bradford, but I mean, what do you think after going Gallen?
Yeah, I mean, I like Cease. His last two starts have been, excellent. 31 points, 33 points on DK. I mean, his strikeouts, what do you have, 5 and 10 Ks? I mean, he's had 2 good starts. You mentioned a little bit about Gausman. Gausman got yanked after 58 pitches because of back tightness. So, I mean, that's really risky. I mean, that's a huge flag, man. I mean, this time of year, like, no. And then Chris Sale, you look at his numbers, they backed him up a start a day because his velocity was down his last couple starts by a couple miles an hour. I mean, they're a team that's in the playoff hunt. They literally gave up one of his starts in the last week to push him back a day. They could have had him for double starts. So, I mean, that's kind of a little concerning too for Chris Sale for me too, just that they did back him up. Now you might argue, well, maybe they get in a playoff game or whatever else, but that's kind of concerning a little bit. Bradford, I think, is the pivot off of Gallen. I think I prefer Gallen and Cease probably before Bradford. I think I'd have them. I think I put Cease ahead of them. But, I mean, pitching today, especially without Chris Sale, who I wish Chris Sale I wish that game would go because I wouldn't take any part of Chris Sale. I would hope that he'd get some ownership. I'm not even going to touch that one there. But like I said, I think today is just even more condensed for pitchers for me. I mean, just looking at it, I mean, Flaherty, if you want to look at Flaherty, sure, he's been a decent pitcher all year, but the Padres don't really strike out much. There's not many Ks there. So I think that's a little bit risky, but then again, he's a decent pitcher. You could just consider, we don't have too many other options. So you could consider him, a pivot off of Gallen and Bradford and Cease. If you wanted to go there, I think those are the 3. There's maybe a couple cheap options that maybe you could think about. But up here at the top, like you mentioned, there's just a few guys. Stroman at 9,100. I'm not even touching that guy. Look at his. I don't even think he's got 15 point. Well, yeah, 7.8, 8.6, and okay, so he did minus 1.8. His last 3 starts, he's been awful. So he's given up 9 earned runs in his last 8. We're talking 10 innings, 11 innings. He's given up 9 earned runs. Something's not. No thanks. I'm not. And I want the Spankies to win. Beat Baltimore for maybe the Tigers could catch them. So, I mean, I don't I just think I'm going to have to stay in my lane here and just try to get different elsewhere. I think Gallen is somebody I'm going to play. Cease is somebody I'm going to play. Like I mentioned, I'm just not going to try to get cute at pitcher and just do what I know I think is right. I mean, Gallen has been good other than the one start here he had recently, times where he gave up the 3 homers. But, I mean, yeah, I think Gallen's the guy for me today. He's reasonably priced 9K on DK. I just think he's the guy we should be using today.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And then you alluded to it, this below 8K range on DraftKings, it's kind of ugly. I'm really curious your thoughts on here because, I mean, it's almost to the point where I want to pick my 3 favorite names down here and just kind of cycle them in and out, with a little Gallen, if we don't want to go Cease or Bradford, like what you said. Do you have any kind of a lean down here below the 8K range?
Man, it is some tough sailing down here. I mean, there's a couple guys maybe, like if you want to look at like maybe Suarez, if you wanted to go there. I mean, it's ugly. Maybe Edward Cabrera. I mean, that's ugly too. I mean, that's some like, I mean, Cabrera did have 3 or 4 starts in a row that were decent. Matter of fact, I think the last time is when I used him and he gave up 7 earned runs. So probably still a little chapped about that.
That's normally my story. They're playing great, and then where's that dud come from? Well, I mean, I probably rostered him. So
yeah, exactly. Davis Martin and, against the Angels. I mean, this guy here hasn't really got over, 12 or 13 points. I mean, I just can't even go there. Fetty, against in Coors, the guy's just been terrible his last few starts, 3 or 4 starts. Black, I'm not interested in. It's really tough down here. I mean, I think maybe Jose Suarez, maybe if you wanted to go there. I mean, it's the White Sox. I mean, at his price, 6,000, if he can get me 20 and get me a win off the shitty White Sox, like I think that's maybe where you could look. I think that's pretty much about it for me. I think maybe Cabrera or Suarez. I think that's it. And I think I'd probably put Suarez ahead of them all just because of the matchup. But really, I mean, down here, I'm just probably going to look at matchups. I mean, Suarez is, he's not really a strikeout pitcher, but like I said, I mean, he can get us a W maybe. I mean, when's the last time the guy got a win? Holy shit, it's been a while, like 6, 9, 10 starts. So, I mean, I'm banking on, him, something he hasn't done in 10 starts. So, I mean, that's kind of risky. He hasn't really pitched too many innings in recent times either. So, I mean, that's kind of concerning. He did get the 5 innings last time. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of concerns down here. Maybe Cabrera, just kind of looking here at Suarez, maybe Cabrera bumps up a little bit. But, man, it's tough down here in the bottom part.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it might be Cabrera ahead of Suarez for me, just barely, just because we have the upside a little bit. I think ownership will be just a pure mess down here. So I don't want to get too cute and be like, well, he's going to be more owned or he's going to be popular. But I think he does. Twins, I mean, they're in a pretty big spot. But I'm willing to take that upside because I can't find any upside down here. The pitcher that really frustrates me about pitch count is Woods Richardson. I think obviously he'd be popular if he pitched more than 70 innings. They've really pulled him back his last 5 starts or so. I think he hasn't topped more than 72 in his last 4. So 71, 70, 69, 72, kind of all good for that 4 inning range if he gives up a few hits and a few walks. So I was really bummed to kind of finalize on that because I would have liked that spot. But it's must-win game for them, and they're not pushing them. And any sign of trouble, I think they yank him. So he's off my list. Don't want to mess with anything in Coors. Feltner yesterday did pretty decent for us, actually. I think if he would have, finished up and gotten the win before the end of the game with the Cardinals scoring some runs, he would have finished at like 21 DK points. So he was right there, but I don't want to touch that with Gomer today. So yeah, it's just a mess, man. I agree. It's Cabrera and Suarez, and I mean, you'd have to put a gun to my head to take somebody else. I mean, we can't talk about Basso, but 7,500 just a little bit too expensive for me for realistically no upside. I mean, his last start, he did get up to 93 pitches, but in his, 6 outings this season, he hasn't topped more than 6 strikeouts. So he has a 6 strikeout game and a 5 strikeout game, then a bunch of 2s and 1s. So, I mean, if I had to pick a third, I think it would be no salary involved, it would be Woods Richardson, knowing that he's going to go 4 innings. And I just hope those 4 innings could be good enough to maybe push him to 5. But I don't want to touch Coors, and I don't want to touch any of these other guys.
Yeah, it's just the guys on the bottom, and there's so many red flags. Like, why? It's like you're forcing it. Like with even like if with Fetty, he hasn't had any strikeouts in his last handful of starts here, but really low. I mean, but he did have some starts where he had 7 and 8 strikeouts. So you're thinking, like, what's the chances of him getting that? I mean, we talking 10%, 20%, that you think in your mind. It's like some of these guys down here is just so risky. But like you said, I think Cabrera, I mean, you could probably stomach Suarez, maybe because of the matchup there. But, yeah, I mean, ugly pitching slate all around for me. That's why I just think Gallen, does stand out a little bit. And, I mean, there's some guys out there, like with Gausman, like we mentioned, I'm getting yanked last time. I think that's definitely a concern. But, yeah, Cease and Gallen, I think, are definitely in play for me today. And Bradford, obviously, because he's got Oakland. But, I mean, I think I would just stay with those 3. Bradford being the pick. Bradford probably be half owned what Gallen is, I would assume. So, yeah, I think, I like Gallen. I think Gallen, especially against those Giants. But, all right, let's rank them. Let's just rank them all combined. I mean, I don't even think we're going to get to the bottom part. So we might as well, like I said, I got, basically I would have Gallen 1, Cease 2. I'd probably go Bradford 3 and then Flaherty 4. And then I probably look at maybe if I went down below, maybe go Cabrera, but I won't do that.
Yeah. Gallen, Cease, Bradford, Flaherty, and then it becomes Cabrera and Suarez for me. So that's it. Keeping it small, no more than 6, If I'm making 1 to 3 tonight, which I kind of think with this slate, that's all I'm going to do. Yesterday's slate, I liked a little bit more as far as options. So I was up to like 5, I was up to 10. But yeah, with this one, I mean, I probably won't touch Cabrera or Suarez unless I start building an expensive stack like these Diamondbacks will get to and think to myself, well, I like this stack too much and I'd rather give up a pitcher, but probably not. So if you were making a DK team right now, let's say, you ticket into a nice big tournament, what would be, obviously it's Gallen, but is it really Gallen and Cease for you?
Yeah, I would have to want to see what kind of ugly stack I'd have to have, obviously. Yeah. But I'd like to see how it played out a little bit. I don't think offenses are almost similar to yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, I'd want to play with a little bit. Like I usually like to make a handful. I'm weird. I'm old. So, I started building lineups when there weren't even optimizers, I mean, yeah, that's right. I walked to school both ways, uphill. So, but yeah, I mean, that's how long I've been playing DFS. So I used to make lineups and then save them all and then look at them because you'd be making stuff and like I used to kind of do it. And you would look at it and be like, which one stands out? And then I would pick my team, as dumb as that sounds, but that's what I used to do. Cause you'd make you'd be fooling around, be like, what was that team I made a minute ago? And you'd be trying to fool with it. So I used to like screenshot it, look at it, figure it out. Like, I mean, it was just different times back then. So I still kind of have that same thing. I like to look at my team build and be like, that's ugly. I don't like that. Or like, what's my upside here? No, not any good. Even though the pieces fit sometimes. But, I like when you're building that team and then that last piece of the puzzle fits in like a glove. You're just like, oh, this is it right here. This is mine. Yeah. That's, that's what I like. But
that's so funny. When
first tournament winner had Mickey Lolich on it. I do think Josh Hamilton might have been in there. I'm pretty sure I played when Josh Hamilton played. So, yeah, I know that one for a fact is pretty old. So, I mean, yeah.
When I started playing
13 maybe. I mean, we used to get outs for like lose points for outs for batters. You would lose like a half a point. So you'd be winning and all of a sudden you'd have your stack come up in the 9th inning and they'd all get outs and you'd lose a point and have them be like, fuck, man, you drop all far in the state. It was such a pain in the ass. But, yeah, good times. I think I seen somebody else, too, ask the question about, here it is, Poe Stoner. What is that poster with chance on the wall? It says, winners don't wait for chances, they take them. That's just, a little gambling tidbit. I saw one of them, stores somewhere. I was like, ooh, got to have that. But, so after these pitchers here today, we're going to have some issues. I mean, some of these stacks you think, oh man, we should have all kinds of stacks. But you look at the 9 games, the outlook, we got 7 games, 4 games in the 7s, 4 games in the 8s, over unders that being. And then we have the one big game, obviously, with Coors. So, pretty tight slate here. We don't have, too much of, up and down. I mean, everything's in the 7s and 8s here. So just kind of starting out with this early game, we got Baltimore and the Yankees. We got Eflin against Stroman here, looking at a total of sitting here at 8. So I don't know if you're interested in any of these Yankees here against Eflin. I think I have a mild interest. I think it might be more of a mini. I think the Orioles are kind of in the same boat for me here. I think there's some better spots here, but I can't argue with you if you want to go there. But I think I got a couple spots ahead of these ones. But I mean, Aaron Judge, shit, dude's hitting homers left and right. I mean, he's definitely expensive, but I don't know. I think I like the Yankees a little bit better than the Orioles here, but I don't think I'm going to get on board. I just don't think I'm going to get there today.
Yeah, today's slate, like what you said, it's just ugly. So if you're getting off of Coors, where do you go? Here, I mean, one of my favorite bats, just because of price and leadoff position, it's going to be Torres. I mean, he's just kind of smashing the ball. Warning track out yesterday, ground rule double. His price won't come up on DraftKings. I think it's 4,200 still. So yeah, minis for me with the Yankees after they kind of, had a tough outing last night. Soto going 0 for 4. Actually, I take that back. He might have singled. He did single, and then Torres got thrown at the plate. So 1 for 4. Austin Wells can't hit it out of the infield. Pretty ugly stuff to watch him in the box because you want to attack lefties here. So really just minis for me. You can always play Judge. I love Torres though, and that'll get you off some of that chalk. I mean, at that position, I think, Donovan's going to get ownership. I think Marte's going to get a ton of ownership. DraftKings specifically, I love that play. And then going over to the Orioles side, I mean, it's funny because, I want to second guess this once we kind of figure out that Stroman's, pitching. But damn, man, these guys are expensive. We know they have upside. They just don't fully feel like they always kind of finish. So really it's me. It's just going to be the top, 4 or 5 batters. Kowser went yard yesterday. Santander, I mean, he's surprisingly, just under 50 home runs, I think it is. He's like the mid 40s. So he's quietly had a crazy year. You can always play Gunner, but I agree with you. I mean, I don't want to go kind of above my means, if you will, in this game, but I will highlight as I do love Torres. And if you've been paying attention to my cores, I've kind of, play him as much as I can, just because, you eat up a position where once they take away some expensive guys, it gets kind of ugly. And bat and lead off, with all those guys behind him, he's been smashing the cover off the ball. So I'm going to continue to go to the well there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Eflin, the righty side, he does kind of have some reverse splits, lower strikeout rate, like 5% difference between right and left, 17 to 22. His fly ball percent is a little bit higher to the left side. But, I mean, you look at that strike. I mean, Torres, Stanton, Judge, somebody you might want to look at. I mean, I think maybe, but like you said, they're really expensive here. So, if you want to use some high-end pitching, like we were talking, Gallen and Cease, and probably not stacking up some Yankees here because you won't have much left for any kind of salary. But, so moving on here, we got Boston and Toronto. We talked a little bit about Gausman having, a little bit of injury concerns there, getting yanked last time on 58 pitches. You got now we just got to stop right now. Is this guy's name Richard Fitz? Dick Fitz?
Where is it?
This guy's name
Let's see.
I want to make sure. The Red Sox. Come on. I'm a kid. I'm going to laugh at that shit. Dick Fitz. Like, come on. I got to play him now just because of his name. That's not even right. Holy crap.
Oh, that's funny because I'm only looking at last names.
We live in a movie. Just stop it. Nobody names their kid Richard with their last name Fitz. I would fucking punch my mom in the face at a later life. Like, why did you do that to me? Fuck. Got teased my whole fucking life. Oh my God. His parents are evil, man. That's terrible.
I thought BJ was bad. See, I kind of ran with it a little bit when I was, starting off and doing my own thing, but Dick Fitz is tough. I don't know how you name anybody Richard. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm staying off of that name for my next son, but Oh man, I see. I'm only looking at last names over here, so you just see our Fitz, and I don't click it open, but hey, Dick Fitz, tough one.
You know what? That's it. I like some Blue Jay stacks. We're gonna have to go with some Blue Jay stacks against Dick Fitz here. So, yeah, I think we're gonna have. I think some Blue Jays. Truthfully, actually, I do have them in my top 5 of my stack. So definitely look at them. I just don't like the Blue Jays generally as a whole, as I've said basically the whole season. They just don't seem to have enough power for me. So, but Dick Fitz strikeout percentages are like 10%, 11%. His fly ball rate's higher to right side at 35%. So, man, I think the Blue Jays are in play here against Dick Fitz. And I do feel sorry for the announcers in that game, because if I was an announcer, I'd probably snicker 2 or 3 times and they'd have to blare it out about
be careful, man. You lose your job so fast. Some of these, I saw another one of those clips from like last year. I mean, you have to be on full. It's not PG anymore. It's like G-rated stuff. Oh man, it's a tough job.
Oh, I tell you. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look at some Blue Jays here. The Red Sox are interesting just because we're not sure about Gausman. Maybe look at some lefties. I mean, fly ball percentage at 32.5% to lefties. So I mean, maybe like somebody like Cassis Duran is interesting. Abreu probably get pinch hit, but I think the lefties here in Boston might be interesting. Maybe some one-offs, but definitely like some Blue Jays against Dick Fitz here.
Yeah, no, I agree. You kind of look at these. I mean, I want to get all the lefties in this game. Kind of the same issue we talked about yesterday with Yoshida if he finds the lineup for the Red Sox. But love me some Duran today. I mean, we've talked about it in the past. I mean, that's just the guy when he's in the box, you just feel confident. I'm confident spending the salary on Duran, just knowing that, he's going to leg out. He's going to leg out singles to doubles, and he's going to steal bags. And so I really like that play. And then, yeah, man, I mean, if you really look at the projected lineup here, I mean, what's Luke's percentage? I want to make sure, because I think he's relatively cheap. One sec here. I want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, 3,600. I mean, you got the switch up top, so no Springer today. I don't mind it at all. Pretty decent run total. They're not really getting a lot of love and ownership, it looks like. I have to see if this guy Klaus or Clace or whatever is even in the pool. I assume that he is because he has a price tag. But yeah, I mean, 2,600 leading off. He's going to be switch hitters. You can go lefty, Vladdy, and then throw in Kirk or Barger. I mean, lefty. I mean, that's a really cheap stack. So if we're looking at, putting those 2 top pitchers together, this is really interesting.
Yeah, I think I'd be a little concerned about Clace's getting pinch hit, but man, I'll tell you, I mean, there's 2 guys in this game sitting in the 2-hole. You all know I like a guy that gets moved around and gets stuck in the 2-hole. Usually I think that's the hottest hitter, Benny, killing me. But, the hottest hitter. So, Gonzalez been hot. He's pretty cheap on the Boston side. And then you got Luke sitting here in that 2-hole too. So I do like to look at that 2-hole. I think is important. I think managers are using that more so in these times than in the past. You see generally the hottest hitter are guys that they like. And, a lot of managers use that and move around some guys. So definitely something to consider here. But yeah, I think I think all the lefties in this game are definitely in play. I like the 2-hole hitters in this game. But, I mean, we could talk all day about Dick Fitz here. I mean, that is pretty funny. I know chat's having fun. Benny Levine here, his catcher, was eating butts. That's kind of funny. But Tool Song Remix, I know the Dick Fitz DFS. So, I mean, hey, we're having some fun here on the show. That's what we do. We have fun, talk baseball. That's all right. We can be immature.
Hey, you know what? I think it's our last regular season show too. So you got to go out. You got to have some fun.
We're gonna have some
it's like
fun.
The pizza party episode in elementary school. We're all gonna eat pizza and watch a movie. So
now, when I was a kid, it was a good thing. They used to have the big ass movie. You'd come in their classroom, and I think it was called like Free to Be Me and You, or You and Me, or some bullshit. It was like a movie. The reel was like huge. You'd walk in, you're like, yeah, we watch a movie all day. Like we don't have to do shit.
We had those when I started. You could hear them rolling down the hallway because they were so old.
Yeah, but I was on the I had to go around and pick them all up from all the classes. The AV projectors. That's how old, they actually used the chalkboard when I was in school. Yes, to, bang out the erasers and crap. But yeah, a lot of fun. But man, we had fun with that game. I mean, we spent a lot of time on the Dick Fitz game. But hey, man, his parents ought to be that's just downright evil.
Yeah.
But either way, we got the Mets in Atlanta. I think we can just skip right over it here. It looks like more or less we're going to get a rain out.
You really quick? I apologize. It's late in the season. I know it's probably going to get rained out, but do you want to have I just want to say a little note. If this game somehow does play, I like these Braves, and I want to be the first guy. Yesterday, we barely touched on it. At least I did. And for the majority of the slate, I mean, you needed Harris in your lineup to win yesterday, it looked like. And I mean, these guys aren't hitting the ball bad. So I'll just, before we move on, I'll just lightly kind of touch on Harris, Ozuna, Olsen, and don't really have any love on the other side from the Mets, even though, we don't know about Sale. And they've been kind of hitting the ball decently. But I will just touch a note. If that game somehow does plays, I want to get some of these top of the lineup lefties for the Braves.
And of note, the last 15 days, OPS, Matt Olson, 3rd in MLB. Harris is 6th in the MLB. Ozuna is 13th in MLB. And Gio Urshela is 19th. So they literally have 4 guys at the top of OPS standings in the last 15 days. So half of their lineup is literally hitting almost 1,000 OPS the last 15 days. So, yeah. Definitely something to watch. I mean, hey, if you build the lineup real quick with Atlanta or Sale in it, but just know you got to pivot off. So build 2. You might have to just, wipe it out, know what your backup lineup is. So sometimes I don't mind doing that either, where I'll build a backup lineup and then you can just, export all input, whatever you got to do. But yeah, sometimes, that's definitely a little strategy I use.
And then, versus lefty, I'll say Harris and Olsen. I mean, Harris in his last 30 attempts versus a lefty, he's a 500 ISO and a 587 WOBA. I know it's super small sample, but then the last 25 appearances for Olsen, he's batting 458 ISO and a 488 WOBA. I mean, these are guys, if the game goes, they'll be virtually unowned because of the weather and lefty. I mean, on an ugly slate where we're really talking about cores and trying to make something happen, I don't mind, kind of throwing one of these guys or both of them in as one-offs.
Yeah, I mean, they are the hottest hitters in baseball. But, yeah, definitely going to have to keep your ear to the ground. And then, the problem is get delayed past 7:20, and then you're going to sit there with your butt puckered up wondering, if they're going to get the game out. But either way, we had a little bit with that last night in this game here. A little segue. We had the Angels and White Sox started with a little delay last night. And I know the Angels were a team that was getting a little love last night. I know I threw a couple of them in there, but the White Sox, man, looking for that all-time worst loss there was at 121. And then you got Davis Martin here going up against these Angels. I mean, some of these Angels have been hitting pretty well too. I know Neto's been hitting decent here recent times. Taylor Ward's been hitting decent recent times. But like I said yesterday, it's just hard to click on a bunch of these Angels. The lineup 1 through 9 just isn't impressive. It's just hard to click on them. It's almost like kind of gross, to click on. You just don't feel good about it. So, but they are the worst bullpen, probably, in a long time. I was the worst team. So I don't know if you want to go there with any Angels. I don't have them, the Angels, as high as I did yesterday. I think I got 5 teams ahead of the Angels here, where yesterday, I had the Angels ranked a little higher. But I think I'm just going to leave both sides alone here. But, yeah, maybe some one-offs. If you want to go that route with some Angels, you could do that. But, yeah, I don't think I'll be stacking anything here.
Yeah, Vegas agrees with you, too. I think yesterday that total was at 8.5. I don't see much difference in any of these pitchers. I mean, we had Jack K yesterday. I forget even for who, Cannon or whatever it was, who was optimal for a long time, by the way, until the Cardinals scored some runs. But I don't know. I would agree. I mean, I don't mind some minis here. I mean, Moniak, I mean, he's cheap and he's batting in a good spot of the lineup. He steals bags. He's hitting the ball well. So I like him. Ward stole a bag yesterday as well. I don't mind kind of getting to these. If you're making a ton of lineups, I don't mind a mini. And I don't mind really using any of these guys as fill-ins, just like you said, because the bullpen. But I'm highlighting Moniak and Ward definitely. From the other side, the only really guy I have any interest in, if you were to play it as kind of a fill-in, I want to verify his price before I say anything. perfect. 3,500 on DraftKings. Benintendi. He's just going to bat in the 3-hole and be 3,500. I know he's lefty, so we'll get no ownership, but I don't think Suarez, if we're kind of looking at it, will go super deep. So he could get 2 plate appearances versus a righty, but he just seems a little too cheap if the White Sox did score some runs.
Yeah, I watch. You all know now. I watch them White Sox games. If they get up and winning by a run or two, especially early, I generally like to jump on the live bet and bet the other way because, man, it's paid out way more than it hasn't here for me this year. It just seems like, I'm always watching that. If it's in the first 2 or 3 innings and they're up ahead, run or two, man, I'm all over it. I love live betting the other side of that. They've just been so bad. But, so, not much there in that game there. But I think this next game we'll have a little bit of some interest in. We got the Twins and Marlins. We got Cabrera up against Simons, Woods, Richardson. Now, I think I have a little interest in the Twins again today. So against Cabrera here. Cabrera, he's been decent at times. He can get beat up at times too. I don't want to call him like a path, but Cabrera is a ground ball lean pitcher, 47% to both sides of the plate. He's around 23% fly ball to left, 21% to the right side. He's at almost 30% strikeouts to righties, 21, a little lower to lefties. So, I don't mind. I think, the Twins can throw out a better lineup when they go against a righty. You got Larnach in 2-hole, does have a little pinch hit Ricks, but, if they end up did the lineup come out? Is Buxton up on the top?
No, he's 5.
Julian's up on top. So you got Julian, Larnach. I think those are the 2 guys we'd have to be a little concerned. Brooks Lee maybe at the bottom there too. But we know Carrera's not getting pinch hit. Royce Lewis, Buxton's not. Santana won't. Either will Castillo. Julian's got a lot of pop and Larnach. I'd just be a little concerned there about the pinch hit. But, it's there. I think the Twins, it's a decent stack here today. They need to pick it up, man. They've just been absolutely terrible, and I am not complaining as a Tiger fan, but, man, what a collapse.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable. They're almost at a 5-run total. We drilled it yesterday. Pinch hits both for Farmer and Margot. I think they both only got 2 at bats. I know Farmer did. I don't know if Margot snuck in the 3rd. I don't believe so. But it's the same usual suspects like you said yesterday. Correa, Lewis, Buxton, Santana, and Castro. So I believe I just think when I first see this, I saw it and I was like, okay, good. Well, they're going to garner some ownership. And I don't have to play them minus like a one-off. But we look at it now and it's almost at a 5 implied run total. And I don't think they're going to get, super popular tonight. I think, our main guys will get some ownership, but I was surprised even yesterday to get some of these guys at like 16%. So I might have to rethink the Twins just like, because we like our 4 or 5 batters and the run totals getting up to right around 5.
Yeah, I got the Twins like just right around my maybe 4th or 5th stack. I would say there's a couple others that we'll get to that, I got a little bit ahead. But, yeah, I think the Twins are definitely interesting. It's just Cabrera does have some strikeouts. It's just not really a guy that normally I'd like to attack. But, we're kind of digging here to see what we can find for some bats here in this slate. So I like the Twins. That Miami bullpen sucks. So that's it's been terrible too since they, the trade deadline. They got rid of a few guys, but definitely Twins for me here in this one. Like to go there, but the next game we got is a big one. Obviously here at Coors Field, 840. We got St. Louis, Colorado, 10.5. Eric Fetty against Gomber. I think both offenses are definitely in play here. But, these Cardinal bats, Gomber's sitting at a 16% strikeout rate, 202 ISO to righties. Righties should be able to get to him. So, people like Goldschmidt, I like Wynn up there at the top. Arnando, somebody I like. Walker, I think is interesting. I'm not a fan of the bottom part of this Colorado or Cardinals lineup. I wish it just looked a little better 1 through 9. But, man, Gomber's just not been good. 29% fly balls to righty, 28% to lefties. Low strikeout percentage. This guy's they're going to put the bat on the ball. We're in Coors. Some righties. I think at this point, I'd probably have me some Cardinals. I like the Cardinals better today than I did yesterday just because of Gomber. I think I wanted to stay more away from that game. I think the Cards are somebody that maybe I could stack up a little bit today, but it's just you got to be so perfect, right? Like if you stack up this game, you got to hit it and pretty much off. You got to nail it. So, I mean, I think it's going to be pretty popular today. 2.5 run difference and compared to almost every other game. Yesterday being the first game, we always say on the show, first game in Coors, kind of leave it alone. But, man, my gut's just telling me today that one could turn into a softball game with these two pitchers we got rolling out there today. So, I mean, I do have both of these two, and again, in the top three. I think I'm a little more at ease playing the Cards than the Rockies. But, yeah, I think Gomber, I'm just willing to attack on Gomber. I think I'll just if you go, I'll just go full bore on him.
Yeah, I would agree. Checks my box. Second game in Coors, not the first. Prices are not coming up. So if you can kind of maneuver this lineup, like what you said, you do kind of have to be perfect with the ownership being as high as it is. But man, I hate to say it. I don't mind a little Jordan Walker. And if he gets a 6-hole, he's 3,600. But I would agree. I mean, prices are just too cheap. There's not very many good options on this slate. I know the bottom of the lineup is so ugly, but you can kind of hand pick a couple of bats we like up top. Mine are going to be, Goldie and Win, and then mix in a couple of those bats for like a little different kind of wraparound stack, but still allows you to get the pitching up top. I know they're going to garner more ownership being $3,100, $3,500, $3,000 at the bottom of the lineup, and they'll probably lose an at bat. But shoot, man, I mean, it's just too cheap for Coors Field. You talked about it earlier. I missed the good old days where they didn't have the lineup maxes. That's when I started playing DFS, playing FanDuel $10 triple ups, and that you could just roster the whole team. And I think this might be a situation just because the slate, I only like one team better because mostly ownership with the Cardinals. But talking about the Rockies side, I mean, they're going to be low owned today, and relative to the Cardinals, and I think the Diamondbacks will garner more ownership. But this is more like the Coors pricing that we're used to seeing, 5,900, 5,600, 5,100. So that kind of alters the entire, construction of your lineups. So if you really look at it and you like this game, I obviously go to the opposite side of the chalk, but I could see a Coors Field team with a 5 implied run total in a good spot, versus Fetty with 10% ownership on a 9-game slate. So I don't love it, but because of the environment of the slate, I do like it.
Yeah, now Fetty is a little bit reverse splitsy. Just kind of looking at him, he's got 21% K to righty, 19.6 to lefties. His ground ball rate is 39% to righties and it's 44% to lefties. But his fly ball rate, 29% to righties, 26% to lefty, a little higher to righties. So, I kind of like it when we get close to that 30% number with Fetty. Fetty is mid ground ball lean, like 40%. So, 43% to lefty, 39 to right. But yeah, I mean, I looking at that, I would definitely want on as far as the Rockies, if I was going to look at that, I would definitely want guys that hit fly balls, like Tovar sitting at 34.7%. Definitely like that. Doyle's at 28%. I think I could live with that. Taglia is at 38% like that. And Goodman down there in the 8-hole is sitting at 38% fly ball rate. So those are the guys I'd probably start with, especially when you got any kind of guy with a ground ball lean, man, look into his advanced stats, see what kind of fly ball hitter you want a guy that's able to get the ball in the air. Like I mentioned, like Will Smith's one of my favorites against a ground ball pitcher. That dude's always hitting the ball in the air. So, it's just stuff like that definitely want to pay attention to as you're deciding, what your lineup and how you want to shake it out. Nothing worse than, like when I look back, some of the early mistakes I made, stacking up against a ground ball pitcher, you're getting singles and doubles all day, but man, if you're not getting homers, you're still not winning tournaments. You might, get you min cash here and there, but you want to win. So start getting after, those fly ball opportunities on both sides, pitching and hitting is something you definitely want to kind of pay attention. A lot of people ask me what I think is one of the most important stats other than weather. I think that's very important, but man, you want the ball to get in the air, right? I mean, isn't that an important thing here? I mean, what we're chasing, we're pretty much chasing home runs. So I think that's definitely important, especially strikeouts with pitcher, obviously. But, man, you got a guy who's giving up a lot of fly balls. Definitely a guy is fun to stack against for sure. But I think you mentioned this next game here already, Arizona being one of the popular teams. I'm going to agree with you. They actually are my favorite here against Mason Black here. So I think man, these D-backs have been one of the hottest hitting teams. We mentioned the Braves earlier being super hot, but these D-backs have also have been super hot. So, I mean, the Giants, out in Arizona, game total sitting at 8.5. We got two games all day in the whole, all of them sitting at 8.5. All the rest were at 8. That was that Miami, Minnesota game. And then we got this game here. So I do think 5.2 run total here for the D-backs. I think they're going to be pretty popular today. I like them. They're my favorite. You look at Black, his ground ball rate, pretty low, 24% to lefties, 36% to righties. His fly ball rate, 43% to lefties, 31% to righties. Low strikeout rate. Give me some D-backs. All about me some D-backs. I think Christian Walker and Suarez are my two favorite bats here on the whole on the D-backs. But, man, I think the D-backs are in a great spot.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll double you down with a little Corbin Carroll and Jock Peterson. And we'll look at, those are my favorite bats. I know Marte's been smashing the ball. He's just so expensive. I'm looking at this lineup. It is the same as projected. So I wish, Marte wasn't so expensive, obviously. And I wish Suarez would be batting, in the 5 or the 6 hole. But yeah, my favorite stack up and down. I believe they're in a great spot. And then especially after getting goose egg last night. And these are some important games, because after this series, they finish up against the Padres. So these are important games for them. They have to score, they have to win. And now you get, like you said, somebody like Black on the mound. Let's run it. I'm really curious to see what the ownership is between this and the Cardinals. And I'm going to have exposure to both, but man, I'm really hoping this stays a little bit lower because people fall in love with those prices on Coors.
It definitely could be the case, that's for sure. But yeah, I just think, you look at the D-backs lineup compared to like even the Cards. It's like the 8-9. That D-backs lineup, especially they bring a Walker back. 1 through 9 is somebody. I'll play Perdomo too at the bottom down there. I don't know Moreno. Suarez. They all got potential. I think D-backs for me 1 through 9. Stack them up. I think definitely my favorite one here today. Now the other side of that game, the Giants against Gallen, I'm not really going there. I think you could get some leverage. It ain't even close to what we were talking about yesterday when we had Paft on the mound, but got absolutely shelled. But yeah, I'm not going there with any Giants. I'll just skip on that. I respect Gallen enough.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited if the D-backs, I'm hoping the Padres can win a couple of games so we don't get stuck with some D-backs maybe to open up the playoffs. But I'm really interested to see what Paft's ownership will look like with a start in the playoffs because we look at it at 25% yesterday. I think everybody hops off, and I think it's about time for him to bounce back. So Giants had a big night last night, and like you said, they hit home runs. So I don't mind, if you're not playing Gallen, getting like one off here, but I'm completely staying away because I'm going to be playing Gallen.
Yeah, I hear 3.5 team total. I think Gallen's in a good spot. But definitely like them D-backs. That is for sure. So Texas and Oakland is the next game. Got game out there in Oakland. We got Bradford going up against the Brady Basso here. 7.5 total. Man, I can't get on board either side of these bats. That Ranger lineup has just not been looking very good here recent times. Bradford. I like him here in this spot here. I just not a fan here of that Oakland lineup, so I'm just going to stay away from the bats here.
Yeah, just so we don't completely skip over the game, if you were trying to make a bunch of lineups, it'd be tough on the A side. It really is for me just because, they don't look good. They look a little bit better when you look at the season as a whole. When you look at this projected lineup over the last month against lefties, it looks pretty ugly. Butler hits him okay. We've talked about that before in the past. But bad park, couple of decent pictures. I guess technically speaking, if you wanted to get kind of a low owned Ranger stack, but it's so ugly to say out loud, versus Basso. So no, I'm just kind of off all the bats here. Only highlight would be Butler, but he's priced up a little bit. He's 4,500 now.
Yeah, it's in Oakland. We just don't generally like stacking up in Oakland unless we need to. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna stay away from that one. But we do have one more game left, the big one of the night for you. the Padres and Dodgers here tonight. We got two of the top pitchers here on the entire slate. Going to be battling it out here tonight. Cease against Flaherty. I mean, I see no reason why really to stack up either team here. I mean, both pitchers are really good. But I do prefer Cease, as I mentioned earlier, as far as the pitching goes. Padres just don't have as many strikeouts as the Dodgers do. So, I think Cease with his last couple starts been pitching pretty well. So I actually had Cease as my number 2 pitcher. But, yeah, I'm just going to leave these bats alone here. But Padres, weren't too bad last night. Cronenworth hit a home run last night.
Yeah, barely over that right field wall. It's funny, that's we got a Cronenworth jersey around here. That's my girl's favorite player. So that was kind of big. That was fun to watch. I think this is, like you said, this is a playoff baseball game. This is what you turn on. If this is when the playoffs start, this might be 6.5. But it's tough. I don't want to get any Padres stacks going like we did yesterday. I mean, you could, you highlighted Tatis yesterday. I'm going to second that. I mean, he's just due for a big night coming up. You can always throw in Ariza up top. I mean, he's just too cheap, never strikes out. He always makes contact. So last spot in, I don't mind it for extremely low ownership. I kind of find myself in that boat sometimes where I make a stack and I have the pitchers I like, and you're sitting at like the mid 3s, maybe low 4s. And it's like, why not just play a guy that could go out and really get you 3 singles and 2 runs, in the right spot. So low-owned Dodger stack, you can always play against them. I'm rooting against it, not only as a homer, but I'm going to find Cease in some lineups. But you can always play these Dodgers, man. I mean, they're just a couple swing of the bats away. So I don't absolutely hate it. But who do you go with pitching if you stack the Dodgers? You don't, because, I feel like Ohtani's due for another stolen base here soon, maybe a home run. Mookie's expensive, obviously. So low owned, sneaky Dodger stack versus, probably the second best pitcher with everything kind of thrown in. But yeah, no bats for me, and I'm betting unders, and I'm hoping for a nice low scoring game.
Yeah, I think maybe first 5 under might be decent.
Love
to get
that.
both these guys rolling. I think that would be something. And a lot of times, too, in matchups like that, I don't mind betting on both pitchers' strikeout props, like betting over their strikeout props a lot of times. But, all right, we rolled through the games. I think here for me, as far as stacks, I'm going to go D-backs 1, Cards 2, Rockies, Blue Jays against Dick Fitz, and then probably Twins. I got Twins, Blue Jays probably pretty close there. But that'd probably round out my top 5. But Cards, and then the Coors game, and then I'll throw in some Dick Fitz against the Twins.
Yeah. D-backs are my number 1 overall. If we get close to lock and it looks like they're going to be lower owned than the Cardinals, they're really close for me, just for a couple other factors. So I want to go with the lower owned one, and hopefully I get it right. So they're both 1A and 1B. Rockies are just right behind them. Coors game, low owned. Twins are there. It's interesting what you said about the Blue Jays. I'm going to take another look, but if I'm looking to make that many stacks on a night like tonight, and I'm not, but if I was, I think I might try and get a little different here with the Yankees stack at home in a tough night last night where I think some of these guys can bounce back.
Yeah, don't mind that at all. I think today is a interesting slate that we've had in a while. Usually, it seemed like there was some clear-cut spots. Today I think it's just a little bit different. It doesn't feel like, you're certain about what some of the spots are bringing us today. So definitely interesting, but hey, should be a fun slate. As we mentioned, it's pretty much our last show of the regular season. It's been a lot of fun here, talking baseball season with everybody here at SHIPIT. I love it. I love coming on here, acting a fool sometimes. A lot of fun. I know, appreciate everybody joining us. We definitely seem to have quite the crew that comes through and generally pretty consistent. So definitely want to thank you guys. Been a lot of fun. I know, we've had Title on with me. BJ's been on with me. We've had Ham on, Nades. All the crew here with baseball. Been a lot of fun. I don't do as much with football. So when baseball ends, I kind of take a little break a little bit from, a lot of the DFS tout world life, but I do get involved. But hey, when baseball rolls back here next April, man, I'll be excited to get back in it. But we got some playoff baseball, exciting time, so we're going to enjoy it. But as I mentioned, appreciate having everybody here with us. And BJ, been a lot of fun here in the last few weeks talking some baseball with you. But we'll be back next week with a little bit of playoff baseball. But again, appreciate everybody. But any last words here, BJ, before we get out of here?
Yeah, no, man, been a blast. Appreciate it. I didn't really click till the last show for us until, I think we have a show Friday, but last show for us, until a little bit ago. So no, man, I've been jacked. It's been fun. You're taking a break. I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm going to be all over playoff baseball. Don't think any shows. Maybe if there's enough love, we can maybe do like a quick hits or something for some of these slates. But then we're hopping right into NBA. So won't be a very long break for me as playoff baseball seemingly every day. And then we're going into NBA. So jacked up. Like I said yesterday in the Discord, we got a lot of stuff going on and it's been a blast, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, fun times. Football, MMA, golf. We crushed golf, all that. And everybody knows here at SHIPIT Nation. I'll tell you the thing about SHIPIT Nation. I've been around, know a lot. I know everybody. Got to meet a lot of people. The community we have at SHIPIT Nation is a positive community. Everybody gets along. We root for each other. You see every week the tweets, how everything goes out, all the winners. It ain't just the touts winning because they're playing an astronomical amount of money and then they're playing 10K and then they win 15 and they want to show everybody they won 15K because of shit. You're still down for the damn week. So either way, I've seen a lot of people win $1 million and lose $1 million real quick. So definitely something to keep. But hey, we got some strong players here. I tell anybody who in my world is the GOAT of DFS, one of the best. He's longevity. A lot of guys come and gone, but man, SHIPIT Nation, definitely a fun place to be. You learn a lot as you rub elbows with people that are good. That starts rubbing off on you, man. It does. So definitely exciting times here. But hey, let's kick some ass tonight. We'll be back next week. We got some playoff baseball coming. Maybe we'll do a show. Not sure. We'll figure it out here. If we can, I'll definitely root for it and try to see if we can get Tambo and Hoop to get us back on here for some baseball. But as I mentioned, a lot of fun. Appreciate everybody. Let's win some money here tonight. Go out with a bang. Appreciate everybody. And let's ship it.